The rejection. The mating ceremony that changed everything. The full moon hung heavy over the Shadow Peak Pack territory, casting silver light across the ceremonial grounds. Sarah Hart stood at the edge of the gathering, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Tonight was the night. Tonight, Alpha Demon Cross would announce his chosen mate before the entire pack. And Sarah knew it would be her. The mate bond had snapped into place 3 months ago during the summer hunt. She had felt it like lightning striking her soul, that golden thread connecting her to the most powerful alpha in the Northern Territories. Demon had felt it too. She had seen it in his eyes, the way they had glowed amber when he looked at her, the way his wolf had called to hers. But there was one problem, one massive, insurmountable problem that made her stomach twist with anxiety even now. Sarah Hart was an Omega, the lowest rank in the pack hierarchy. A wolfless weakling who served in the pack kitchens and cleaned the Alpha's mansion. She had no family, no status, no power. Just the bond. Just the invisible thread that tied her to a man who was destined to rule over thousands. The whispers begin. Did you hear? The Alpha is announcing his mate tonight. A voice whispered behind her. Sarah turned slightly, catching sight of 2 pack warriors standing near the fire pit. They did not see her in the shadows. About time. The pack needs a strong Luna. Someone with alpha blood who can give him powerful heirs, the taller warrior said. I heard he has been meeting with Lady Vivian Blackwood. She is from the Royal Moon Pack. Pure alpha bloodline going back centuries. Sarah's breath caught. Vivian Blackwood. Beautiful, powerful, elegant Vivian with her midnight black hair and cruel smile. She had arrived at Shadow Peak 2 weeks ago, and everywhere she went, she made sure Sarah knew exactly how worthless an Omega was. An Omega could never be Luna, the warrior continued with a laugh. Can you imagine the shame it would bring to the pack? Sarah pressed her hand to her chest, feeling the mate bond pulse with warmth. No, Demon would not reject her. He could not. The bond was sacred, a gift from the moon goddess herself. No alpha had ever rejected their true mate. At least, that was what she told herself as she smoothed down her simple gray dress and made her way toward the ceremonial platform. The announcement. Alpha Demon Cross stood on the raised platform, magnificent in his power. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair that fell to his collar and eyes that could shift from warm amber to cold gold in seconds. He wore the traditional ceremonial robes of black and silver, and every wolf in the clearing could feel the raw dominance radiating from him. Beside him stood his beta, Marcus Stone, and on his other side, Lady Vivian Blackwood, dressed in a stunning red gown that clung to her curves like a second skin. Sarah's wolf whimpered inside her. Something was wrong. She could feel it. Shadow Peak Pack. Demon's voice boomed across the clearing, magically amplified to reach every ear. Tonight, under the full moon, I stand before you to announce a decision that will shape our future. The crowd fell silent. Hundreds of wolves waited, their attention fixed on their alpha. A strong pack needs a strong Luna. Someone who can stand beside me, lead beside me, and give this pack the powerful heirs it deserves. Each word felt like a knife twisting in Sarah's gut. She pushed forward through the crowd, her small frame easily moving between the larger wolves. She needed to get closer. She needed him to see her, to remember what they had, to feel the bond that sang between them. The crushing blow. Therefore, Demon continued, his eyes scanning the crowd, I have chosen Lady Vivian Blackwood of the Royal Moon Pack to be my mate and your Luna. The world stopped. Sarah froze, her feet rooted to the ground as if they had grown into the earth itself. Around her, the pack erupted in cheers and howls of approval, but she heard none of it. All she could hear was the sound of her heart shattering into a million pieces. No, this could not be happening. Vivian smiled, a triumphant, cruel smile, and took Demon's hand. He placed the Luna's ceremonial necklace around her throat, the ancient silver and moonstone catching the light. Demon! Sarah's voice broke through the celebration, raw and desperate. Demon, what are you doing? The crowd parted as she stumbled forward, and suddenly all eyes were on her. The lowly Omega who dared to speak out during the Alpha's ceremony. Demon's eyes found hers, and for just a moment, she saw it. The recognition, the bond, the pain. And then his face went cold, empty, as if she were nothing more than a stranger. The public humiliation. You dare interrupt this sacred ceremony? Demon's voice was ice, and it cut through her like a blade. We are mates, Sarah said, her voice shaking but growing stronger. She had to make them understand. The bond, Demon. You feel it. I know you do. The moon goddess chose us for each other. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Cruel, mocking laughter. Mates? Vivian's voice was like poisoned honey. You actually think an alpha like Demon could be mated to something like you? An Omega? A wolfless servant? The bond does not lie, Sarah insisted, looking only at Demon. Tell them what you felt during the summer hunt. Tell them about the nights we spent talking by the lake. Tell them about the promises you made. Something flickered in Demon's eyes, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. I made no promises to you, he said flatly. Whatever you think you felt was nothing more than your imagination. A pathetic Omega's desperate fantasy. The words were a physical blow. Sarah staggered back as if he had struck her. You felt it, she whispered. I know you did. What I felt, Demon said, his voice rising, was pity. You are a weak, wolfless Omega who should be grateful this pack even allows you to live within its borders. You are nothing. You will never be anything. And you will certainly never be my mate. The rejection ritual. The crowd had gone silent now, watching the drama unfold with hungry eyes. This was entertainment to them. The humiliation of an Omega who had dared to reach above her station. Marcus Stone, the beta, stepped forward with a ceremonial dagger. His face was unreadable as he looked at Sarah. Sarah Hart. Demon's voice was formal now, following the ancient ritual. I, Alpha Demon Cross of the Shadow Peak Pack, do hereby reject you as my mate. I sever the bond between us. I cast you out from my life, my heart, and my soul. No, Sarah breathed, but it was too late. Demon took the dagger from Marcus and cut his palm, letting 3 drops of blood fall to the earth. The symbolic severing of a mate bond. It was rare, forbidden by most packs, but not illegal. The moment the 3rd drop hit the ground, Sarah felt it. The golden thread that connected them did not just break. It was ripped away, torn from her very soul with such violence that she collapsed to her knees, screaming. The pain was unlike anything she had ever experienced. It felt like her chest was being carved open, like her heart was being torn from her body while she was still alive to feel it. The mate bond, once warm and beautiful, was now a gaping wound that burned with silver fire. The accusations. Guards. Demon's voice cut through her screams. Remove this creature from the ceremonial grounds. 2 massive warriors grabbed Sarah by her arms, hauling her to her feet. She could barely stand, the pain of the severed bond making her legs weak. Wait! Vivian's voice rang out, sweet and deadly. She should face consequences for this disruption. She interrupted a sacred ceremony. She made false claims against our Alpha. She has shown disrespect to the pack. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. You are right, my Luna, Demon said, and the way he said my Luna made Sarah want to vomit. Sarah Hart, you are hereby stripped of your rank within this pack. You are banished from Shadow Peak territory. If you are found within our borders after sunrise tomorrow, you will be executed as a rogue. Demon, please, Sarah sobbed, the pain overwhelming her. Please do not do this. But he had already turned away, his arm around Vivian's waist, leading his new mate toward the pack house as if Sarah had never existed. The dark truth. As the guards dragged her away from the ceremonial grounds toward the pack borders, Sarah heard Vivian's voice, quiet but clear. That was easier than I expected, the new Luna said with a laugh. The potion worked perfectly. He does not even remember caring about her. Sarah's head snapped up, her eyes wide despite the pain. Potion? What potion? Are you sure the effects will last? That was Marcus Stone's voice, low and concerned. The witch promised me 6 months, Vivian replied. By then, I will be pregnant with his heir, and the bond will be completely destroyed. He will never remember that pathetic Omega. They had drugged him. They had used dark magic to make him forget, to make him reject her. Rage, hot and fierce, cut through the pain of the severed bond. Sarah stopped struggling against the guards. Her mind suddenly cleared despite the agony. You will regret this, she said, her voice low but carrying across the clearing. All of you. Vivian turned, her beautiful face twisted with contempt. Threats from a rejected Omega? How terrifying. Throw her in the dungeon tonight. Let her suffer a bit more before we toss her to the rogues. The dungeon. The Shadow Peak dungeons were carved from stone beneath the pack house. They were cold, dark, and smelled of mold and despair. Sarah was thrown into a cell, the iron door slamming shut with a finality that echoed through her bones. She collapsed onto the damp floor, curling into herself as wave after wave of pain washed over her. The severed mate bond was like a living thing, screaming inside her chest, demanding to be reconnected to its other half. But there was no other half anymore. Demon had rejected her. He had called her nothing. He had cast her out like garbage. Hours passed, maybe days. Time had no meaning in the darkness. Sarah drifted in and out of consciousness, the pain the only constant. But then, in the deepest part of the night, something changed. The silver dream. Sarah found herself standing in a forest she did not recognize. The trees were massive, ancient things with silver bark that glowed softly in the moonlight. The air hummed with power old and primal. Finally, a voice said from the shadows, I have been waiting for you. Sarah spun around and saw her. A wolf, massive and magnificent, with fur the color of pure silver, like moonlight given form. Her eyes were not gold or amber like a normal wolf. They were violet, deep and endless and full of ancient wisdom. Who are you?
Sera whispered.
I am you, the silver wolf said, patting closer. I am the part of you that you have never been able to reach. The part they told you did not exist. I do not understand. I am wolfless. I have always been wolfless. The silver wolf laughed, and it was a sound like bells. No, little one, you were never wolfless. You were locked, bound by a curse placed on you when you were just a baby. A curse meant to keep you weak, to keep you from discovering what you truly are. What am I? Sarah asked, her heart racing. The silver wolf moved closer until they were nose to nose. You are a silver wolf, the rarest of all our kind. We are born once every 1,000 years, blessed by the moon goddess herself with powers that transcend normal shifters. We can see truth through lies. We can heal or destroy with a touch. We are not meant to serve, Sarah Hart. We are meant to rule. That is impossible, Sarah breathed. Silver wolves are just legends, stories told to children. Are they? The wolf tilted her head. Then explain why they drugged your mate. Explain why someone cursed you as a baby. Explain why you have survived things that would have killed a normal Omega. They knew, Sarah. Someone knew what you were, and they tried to bury it. The awakening begins. The rejection, the silver wolf continued. As painful as it was, broke the first chain of the curse. Your pain, your rage, your grief, it is cracking the rest. Soon I will be free. Soon we will be whole. And then, little one, then we will make them all pay. How? Sarah asked, desperate hope blooming in her chest. How do I free you? You must survive. You must escape this place and find the Moonstone Grove in the Whispering Woods. There, under the next full moon, I can complete your awakening. But you must survive until then. The dream was fading, the silver forest dissolving into mist. Wait, Sarah called out. How do I escape? They are going to throw me out at dawn. I will die in the Roguelands. The silver wolf's violet eyes glowed brighter. You will not die, Sarah Hart. You cannot die. You are meant for something greater than they could ever imagine. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. And when the time comes, do not hold back. The dream shattered. The escape. Sarah woke to rough hands shaking her. Dawn light filtered through the small window high in her cell. Get up, Omega, a guard growled. Time to go. They dragged her from the dungeon, through the pack house, and toward the northern border. The border that led directly into rogue territory, the most dangerous stretch of wilderness in the region. A small crowd had gathered to watch her exile. Some faces showed pity. Most showed satisfaction. And there, on the pack house balcony, stood Demon and Vivian, watching her final humiliation. Sarah was thrown to the ground at the border marker, a stone carved with the Shadow Peak symbol. Cross this line, and you are no longer under pack protection, Marcus Stone said formally. You have until I count to 10 to run. After that, if we ever see you again, you will be killed on sight. Sarah pushed herself to her feet, her body still weak from the rejection pain. But something was different now. Something had changed during the night. She looked up at the balcony, meeting Demon's eyes one last time. You made a mistake, she said, her voice clear and strong despite everything. And one day, very soon, you will realize just how big of a mistake it was. Vivian laughed. Pathetic to the end. Get rid of her. Marcus began to count. 1, 2, 3. Sarah turned toward the wild forest that stretched before her. The forest that was supposed to be her death sentence. 4, 5, 6. But as she stood there, something stirred inside her. Something silver and ancient and powerful. 7, 8. She felt it then. The first crack in the curse. The first whisper of her true power. 9. Sarah smiled. A fierce, wild smile that made several wolves step back nervously. 10. She ran. But not in fear. She ran toward her destiny. Behind her, she heard Vivian's voice, sharp with sudden uncertainty. Did you see her eyes? They flashed silver. Demon, did you see? But Sarah did not look back. She disappeared into the whispering woods, where the trees were old and the magic was older still. The Omega they had rejected was gone. And in her place, something far more dangerous was being born. The rejected Omega has been cast out, her mate bond severed, her life destroyed. But in the darkness of exile, an ancient power is awakening. Sarah Hart is not the weak, wolfless creature they believed her to be. She is something far more rare, far more powerful. And when she returns, the Shadow Peak Pack will learn that rejecting a silver wolf was the biggest mistake they ever made. What happens when Sarah reaches the Moonstone Grove? Will her transformation be complete? And what revenge will she plan against those who destroyed her? Don't forget to like and subscribe to Fallen Hearts Chronicles for more epic werewolf stories of revenge, romance, and redemption. 217:26 Part 2. Rise of the Silver Wolf. Survival in the Whispering Woods. The Whispering Woods earned their name for a reason. The trees here were ancient, their branches so thick they blocked out most of the sunlight, creating a permanent twilight beneath their canopy. And they whispered, constant, soft sounds that were almost words, almost warnings, almost songs. It was said that these woods were the oldest in the world, planted by the moon goddess herself when she first created the shifter race. It was also said that no Omega survived here longer than 3 days. Sarah had been running for hours. Her feet were torn and bleeding, her simple dress ripped by thorns and branches. The pain of the severed mate bond still pulsed in her chest like a second heartbeat, each throb a reminder of Demon's rejection. But she could not stop, would not stop. Behind her, she could hear them, the rogues, wolves who had been cast out from their packs, driven mad by isolation and the loss of pack bonds. They hunted in groups, and they had picked up her scent the moment she crossed into their territory. Fresh meat! A voice growled from somewhere to her left. Omega meat, the sweetest kind. Sarah's heart hammered as she pushed herself harder, jumping over a fallen log and splashing through a cold stream. But her body was weak from days in the dungeon, from the rejection, from the curse that had bound her wolf her entire life. She was not going to make it. A massive gray wolf burst from the undergrowth ahead of her, cutting off her path. Its eyes were wild, feral, with no hint of human intelligence left. Purereug. Sarah skidded to a stop, turning to run in another direction, but 2 more wolves emerged from the shadows. Then 3 more. She was surrounded by 6 rogues, all of them larger and stronger than she could ever hope to be. "Please," she gasped, backing against a large tree. "Please, I have nothing. I am just an omega. I am not worth your time." The largest rogue, the gray one, shifted. He was a massive man, scarred and filthy, with eyes that held nothing but hunger and madness. "Oh, you are worth our time, little omega," he rasped, moving closer. "You are worth a lot of time. We have not had fresh meat in weeks. And after we are done with you, well, you will wish they had just killed you at that pack of yours." The first awakening. Something inside Sarah snapped. Not from fear, not from desperation, but from rage. Pure, burning silver rage. She had survived 22 years of being treated like garbage. She had survived being called worthless, being made to serve those who looked down on her. She had survived finding her true mate only to be publicly rejected and humiliated. She had survived being drugged, cursed, and cast out to die. She had survived, and she was done being a victim. "No," Sarah said, and her voice was different, deeper, layered with power that made the rogues pause. "I do not think so." The gray rogue laughed. "What are you going to do, Omega? You do not even have a wolf to protect you." "You are wrong," Sarah said, and she felt it then, the crack in the curse widening, splitting, shattering. "I have always had a wolf." She was just waiting for the right moment to wake up. Her eyes flashed silver, bright as lightning. The transformation hit her like a tidal wave. But unlike normal shifts that took minutes and caused pain, this was instantaneous. One moment Sarah was standing there in her torn dress. The next moment a massive silver wolf stood in her place. She was huge, larger than any of the rogues, with fur that glowed in the dim forest light like starlight. Her eyes were violet, deep and hypnotic, and when she growled, the sound resonated with ancient power that made the trees themselves seem to lean away. The rogues froze, their instincts screaming at them that they had made a terrible mistake. "Impossible," the gray rogue breathed. "A silver wolf. They are extinct. They are myths." Sarah's wolf smiled, showing teeth that were longer and sharper than any normal wolf. "Do I look like a myth to you?" She moved, faster than any wolf had a right to move. One moment she was 10 feet away, the next her jaws were clamped around the gray rogue's throat. She did not kill him. She just held him there, feeling his pulse thunder against her tongue, letting him know exactly how close to death he was. The other rogues scattered, disappearing into the woods with yelps of terror. Sarah released the gray rogue, who collapsed, gasping and trembling. "Run," she said, her voice echoing in his mind with the power of telepathy that silver wolves possessed. "Run, and tell every rogue in these woods that the Whispering Forest has a new queen. Tell them that any who dare to hunt here without permission will face me. Tell them that the age of rogues preying on the weak is over." The gray rogue did not need to be told twice. He shifted and ran, his howl of fear echoing through the trees. The Moonstone Grove. Sarah stood alone in the forest, her silver wolf form shimmering in the twilight. She felt powerful, whole in a way she had never felt before. But she also felt incomplete. The awakening had only just begun. The curse was cracked but not broken. She needed to reach the Moonstone Grove. She lifted her nose to the wind, and instinctively, she knew which direction to go. Her paws made no sound as she ran through the forest, moving like liquid silver between the trees. Animals scattered at her approach, not from fear, but from respect. Even the trees seemed to bend slightly, making her path easier. After what felt like hours, the forest opened into a clearing that took her breath away. The Moonstone Grove was a perfect circle of white stones, each one taller than a man, arranged in a pattern that hummed with power. In the center of the circle was a pool of water so clear it looked like liquid crystal, and surrounding it were flowers that only bloomed under moonlight, their petals glowing soft blue and silver. And standing beside the pool was an old woman. She was tiny, barely 5 feet tall, with silver hair that fell to her waist and eyes that were the same violet as Sarah's wolf eyes. She wore simple robes of white linen, and she smiled when Sarah entered the grove. "Hello, child," the old woman said. "I have been waiting for you for 22 years. Sarah shifted back to her human form, suddenly aware that she was naked. But the old woman simply waved her hand, and a soft silver dress materialized around Sarah's body, fitting her perfectly. "Who are you?" Sarah asked. "My name is Rhiannon," the old woman said, "and I am the one who cursed you." The truth revealed. Rage flared in Sarah's chest. "You cursed me? You are the reason I have suffered my entire life? You are the reason I was treated like garbage." "Yes," Rhiannon said simply, showing no shame or regret. "I cursed you because I was trying to save your life." "Save my life? By making me weak? By binding my wolf? By making me a target for every cruel person in my pack?" Rhiannon gestured to a smooth stone beside the pool. "Sit, child. Let me tell you a story. The story of your real family and why you were never meant to be an Omega at all." Despite her anger, Sarah sat. The old woman's presence was calming, powerful in a way that reminded her of the moon goddess herself. "You were born 22 years ago to Alpha Marcus Hart and Luna Elena Hart of the Celestial Moon Pack," Rhiannon began. "Your father was one of the most powerful alphas in the world, and your mother was a rare silver wolf, the first to be born in over 900 years. Sarah's breath caught. "My mother was a silver wolf?" "Yes, and because of that, the other packs feared your family. Silver wolves have powers that transcend normal shifters. We can see truth through any lie. We can heal the dying or kill with a touch. We can command any wolf regardless of their rank. We are, essentially, walking gods among our kind. Then why have I never heard of my family? Why was I raised in Shadow Peak as an orphan?" Rhiannon's face darkened. "Because when you were only 6 months old, a coalition of alphas decided that your family was too dangerous to exist. They hired dark witches and rogue assassins to destroy the Celestial Moon Pack. Your parents fought bravely, but they were betrayed from within. Your father's own beta, a man named Demon Cross Sr., opened the gates to the assassins." Sarah's blood ran cold. "Demon Cross Sr. You mean?" "Yes, the father of the man who rejected you. Demon Cross Sr. killed your father with his own hands and took over what was left of the Celestial Moon Pack, renaming it Shadow Peak. Your mother managed to escape with you, but she was mortally wounded. She brought you to me, begging me to hide you, to keep you safe until you were old enough to reclaim what was stolen. The binding curse. I was a witch who served your mother," Rhiannon continued, "and I did the only thing I could think of. I placed a binding curse on you that locked away your wolf, your power, your very identity. I made you appear as a wolfless Omega, the lowest of the low, someone no one would look at twice. Then I placed you in an orphanage on the edge of Shadow Peak territory, where I knew you would eventually be absorbed into the pack. You put me right under the nose of my parents' murderer?" Sarah's voice was sharp. "It was the safest place. No one would ever think to look for the lost silver wolf princess in the Alpha's own pack, serving as a kitchen servant. And I watched over you from the shadows, waiting for the moment when you would be strong enough to handle the truth." "The rejection," Sarah whispered. "That is what broke the curse." "Yes, the pain of a severed mate bond is one of the most powerful forces in our world. It was enough to crack the binding spell. And your rage, your determination to survive, that shattered the rest. You are awakening Sarah Hart. Or should I say, Sarah Moonborn, last daughter of the Celestial Moon Pack, heir to the Silver Wolf bloodline." Sarah stood, her mind reeling. Everything she thought she knew about herself was a lie. She was not a weak Omega. She was a princess. She was powerful. She was born to rule. "The next full moon is in 3 days," Rhiannon said. "If you complete the awakening ritual here in the Moonstone Grove, your powers will be fully unlocked. You will become what you were always meant to be." "And then?" Sarah asked, her voice hard. And then, child, you take back everything that was stolen from you. Your pack, your throne, your dignity, and you make them pay for every moment of suffering they caused. Building an army. Over the next 3 days, Sarah trained with Rhiannon in the Moonstone Grove. The old witch taught her how to control her shift, how to access her silver wolf powers, how to read the thoughts of those around her, and how to command other wolves with just her voice. But Sarah knew that power alone would not be enough to take down Demon and reclaim Shadow Peak. She needed allies. She needed an army. On the second day, she ventured back into the Whispering Woods and found the rogues. Most fled at her approach, but a few, the ones who still had some humanity left in their eyes, stayed to listen. "I am Sarah Moonborn," she announced, her silver wolf form radiating power. "I am building a new pack. A pack where those who have been cast out, rejected, and forgotten can find a home. A pack where strength is not measured by birth, but by loyalty and honor." A scarred female wolf stepped forward. She was lean and battle-worn, with one ear torn and eyes that had seen too much pain. "I am Kira," the wolf said. "I was rejected by my mate because I could not give him children. My pack cast me out because they said I was worthless. Why should I trust you? Why should I believe you are any different from the alphas who threw us away?" Sarah shifted to her human form, standing naked and unashamed before the gathered rogues. She met Kira's eyes with her own violet gaze. "Because I was one of you," Sarah said quietly. "I was rejected. I was cast out. I was called worthless my entire life. I know what it feels like to be treated like garbage by those who should have protected you. And I swear on the moon goddess herself, I will never let anyone feel that way in my pack." She extended her hand to Kira. "Join me. Help me build something better. Help me create a pack where no one is worthless, where everyone has value, where the old, cruel hierarchy is destroyed and replaced with something new." Kira stared at her hand for a long moment. Then, slowly, she reached out and took it. "I will follow you, Silver Wolf," Kira said. "I will fight for you. I will die for you if necessary." One by one, other rogues stepped forward. Wolves who had been rejected, abandoned, cast out. Omegas who had been abused. Betas who had been betrayed. Even a few alphas who had lost their packs to coups and dark politics. By the end of the second day, Sarah had 30 rogues pledged to her cause. By the end of the third day, she had 50. They were not trained warriors. They were not powerful or skilled. But they were loyal and they were hungry for justice. The full moon ritual. The night of the full moon arrived with perfect clarity. The sky was cloudless, and the moon hung enormous and bright, casting silver light across the Moonstone Grove. Sarah stood in the center of the stone circle, surrounded by her new pack. Rhiannon stood beside the crystal pool, her hands raised to the moon, chanting in an ancient language that made the very air vibrate with power. "Sarah Moonborn," Rhiannon's voice echoed. "Step into the pool and accept your birthright." Sarah walked forward, her bare feet making soft sounds on the white stones. The water was ice cold when she stepped in, but it did not hurt. It felt cleansing, purifying. She waded to the center of the pool, the water rising to her waist. Above her, the full moon seemed to grow brighter, larger, until its light was almost blinding. "Moon goddess," Rhiannon called out, "I return to you what was hidden. I release what was bound. I present to you Sarah Moonborn, daughter of Elena Silverfong, granddaughter of Anastasia Moonshadow, last of the Silver Wolf bloodline. Accept her, bless her, make her whole." The moonlight became a solid beam, striking Sarah like lightning. She screamed as power, raw and ancient and infinite, poured into her body. It was not painful. It was overwhelming, like trying to contain an ocean in a teacup. Her body began to glow, silver light emanating from her skin. Her eyes blazed violet, and in her mind, she heard the voice of the moon goddess herself. "Daughter of silver, child of sorrow, I have watched your suffering. I have felt your pain. But your trials have made you strong. Your rejection has made you wise, and your rage has made you powerful."
Rise, Sarah Moonborn.
Rise and reclaim what is yours. Rise and bring justice to those who have been wronged. Rise and show the world that the silver wolves have returned. The light exploded outward, a shockwave of pure divine power that rippled across the forest. Every wolf within 100 miles felt it, a pulse that resonated in their bones and made them turn toward the whispering woods with awe and fear. When the light faded, Sarah emerged from the pool transformed. She was no longer just a woman or just a wolf. She was both perfectly balanced, perfectly whole. Her hair, once plain blonde, was now silver white, flowing down her back like liquid moonlight. Her eyes were violet even in her human form. And most striking of all, silver markings had appeared on her skin, ancient runes that glowed softly, marking her as blessed by the moon goddess herself. The plan for revenge. Sarah stood before her pack, 50 rogues who looked at her with reverence and hope. "My brothers and sisters," she said, her voice carrying power that made them all straighten with attention. "We are no longer rogues. We are no longer the forgotten and the cast out. We are the celestial moon pack, reborn from the ashes of betrayal and stronger than ever before." Cheers erupted from the gathered wolves. "In 3 days," Sarah continued, "Alpha Demon Cross will marry Vivian Blackwood in a ceremony that will unite Shadow Peak with the Royal Moon Pack. Every Alpha in the Northern Territories will be there. Every important pack will send representatives. It will be the biggest gathering of our kind in decades." She smiled, and it was a fierce, predatory expression.